yara nyilla domoro ka diate
boy janno CK's restaurant
e say nakko be ninna dimbal nimba domoro kala janno
domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kendema bije luntan during tamala abeka domoro ki janni adi manda wala de teka we bijele anim fanan ka fadi jang ikono e fa e ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery iko fanan be kalele ba de lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo fendil lo dunia kono domoro betama nyillom international otoda number 1
amanke ba domola jandama
e sa domo jang is atariya
wo mu kubandi
sa nakko sa futandin
e oto sa nakko be mu CK's restaurant
ndafa nan janna mu yat ni manje dorom bijam
aban
CK's restaurant known for
rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. I want to appreciate and thank our deputy spokesperson, welcome the various media houses here in present, and thank you for honoring our invitation. Members of the APRC National Executive Committee. Of course, I want to specifically mention and recognize the presence of Right Honorable Dr. Fatou Jahumpa Sise in our midst. You are most welcome. APRC militants and supporters, and all others who came just to witness or hear from us. As Dudu said, today's press conference, the theme is mainly the draft 2020 Constitution. But at the end of the press conference, we don't squeeze media houses from asking questions outside the team. Media houses should be allowed to ask as many questions as possible, and it becomes our responsibility to clarify to the people we intend to lead. So as Dudu said, feel free. I don't have a write-up. I have jottings that I will be able to explain. But it will come in various phases. I will give it a preamble. I will look at some of the observations, comments, etc. made about the draft constitution and those who voted against it. I will also highlight recent developments. As we were coming here, we had some other developments that we must look at together, and we will put our position. The other aspect is we will show, as per the provisions of the draft constitution, why we think this draft constitution is not good enough. And there are some other legal arguments that we have all been hearing. We will look at it, focus on some key areas, and put up our opinions. So I will ask for your patience, because we want to do justice to the whole issues. We are today at a momentous period for our country. Is almost at an age. We are at crossroads. And unfortunately, it is difficult to see light that would lead us to peace, progress, and prosperity. Our present predicaments, we must agree, is as a result of the collective failure of the entire coalition leadership, who allowed their personal ambitions and greed to override the interests of the Gambian people. When the coalition came to power, in 2017, it was almost a UDP government. We heard President Barrow stated many times that UDP leader was his godfather. He relied on his intellectuals. And the UDP leader stated many a times that this is our Barrow. You remember fully the song he sang for the whole Gambia. Whoa, 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 UDP Bankota. You remember it? He stated categorically that anybody who talks about a 3-year term, contrary to the 1997 Constitution, you will prosecute you. A lot of things happened. A lot of things were said. And together, they coined the strategy for the coalition government. But, as I said, during that period, we witnessed illegal actions of the coalition perpetrated to APRC and APRC militants purely and solely out of the urge for vengeance and are full of sentiments. We witnessed the death of Haruna Jatta, and many others died. We also witnessed the Kamfenda incident, when the coalition supporters at Kamfenda on their way back from independence celebrations had a clash with some fruit sellers at Kamfenda Junction. They came down their buses and there was a fracas. What we had expected then was the fracas, when the police come, is to take all the culprits, find out, and then charge whoever they want to charge. But they came, facilitated the coalition people to move, continue, and arrested not only the few who were at the police stop, but over 50-something people from all over the town, from elders, pregnant women, school children, etc., etc. We witnessed all here. It all happened here. Hitherto, that would have warranted a demonstration, a very strong demonstration that may be violent. But APRC, as an opposition with a difference, we cooled down. We also witnessed the Journey Commission, the creation of the Journey Commission and the TRRC. And of course, the illegal sales of Jammeh's personal properties, his cattle, etc. We witnessed it. Even before the commencement of the Ghana Commission. But with all this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, within a short period, the coalition disintegrated. No more our Barrow, but Barrow is the evil. We all witnessed it. So it should be very clear now to all genuine Gambians that most leaders of the coalition, as per their deeds and utterances, were blinded by their sentiments, emotions, and the unrelenting urge for vengeance. These are not the qualities for leaders. Good leaders must rise above sentiments, emotions, and the urge for vengeance. Good leaders, through strategic thinking, carve out a roadmap that ensures reconciliation, reparations, social justice, and above all, a program to ensure the socio-economic advancement of its citizens. Now, before I turn to the rejection of the constitution, I want to make a few things very clear. Following the 2016 elections, the coalition government, or the coalition itself, 7 political parties with 1 independent, scored less than 45% of the votes. And therefore, the vast majority of Gambians are not in support of the coalition. It's a minority government. Let's then make that very clear. They became leaders because it is legally provided for in the 1997 Constitution. I want to state categorically, for the 20 years of the APRC rule under President Yahya Jammeh, we had never once formed a minority government in this country. We were always 50% plus 1 at all times. So they benefited from a minority government, meaning the vast majority of Gambians don't accept them. And the greatest challenge we had, especially about the drafting of the 2020 Constitution, is the fact that the UDP leader, and of course the GMC leaders, and some others, believe that the 1997 Constitution is a Yahya Jammeh Constitution, is owned by him, and therefore don't want to accept it. It should be clear that yes, the 1997 Constitution could be called a legacy for President Jammeh, but it's a national document. It was drafted by Gambians, some of them included. It was presented to the electors in a referendum. It came to Parliament, and it was passed, and then it became the supreme law of the Gambia. How do you ascribe that to individuals? This will make you understand why I said sentiments and emotions. And it must be clear that the achievements, the positive achievements of APRC and Babili Mansa in this country is written in indelible ink in the political history of the Gambia. It can never be erased. Nobody can erase it. Just to mention a few. I used to say this. Prior to 1994, no government high school in the Gambia built by taxpayers' money. For 30 years of PPP, all the high schools you will name were not built by government. They send their kids to these religious institutions and some other private senior secondary schools. From there, they are given scholarships and they go and read. Whilst we, the sons of farmers, as intelligent as you may be, you can only aspire to a secondary 4 or a high school if you are lucky. Limited spaces. There were only 13 high schools in 1994 in this country. 13. Most of them centered here. We had about 6 in Banjul and KMC, 3 in West Coast region, 1 in LRR, none in North Bank, 1 in CRR, and 1, of course, in URR. For 30 years post-independence, Yaya Jammeh and the APRC government built over 120-something high schools in this country. Is that not a legacy? Our provincial people no longer come in here to congest the cities, giving families problems of accommodation. We had no hospital built by the previous government. We only had Bansang and the Royal Victoria hospitals, built by our colonial masters. The only hospitals we have is post-1994. We don't want to recognize those things. The famous institution they use to smear us, that is Gambia Television. It's a powerful, you journalists, you know what it means. Television is a powerful instrument of educating people. The only reason we could not have television then was that they want youth to live in complete darkness. President Jammeh and the APRC ensured youth participation in decision-making as regards those who lead them in this country. It was 21 years. It was brought down to 18 years. Women. Before 1994, any woman who marries to a foreigner and have children will never be Gambian citizens. It's only men who marry to foreigners whose kids can be Gambian citizens. So women don't matter. It is this constitution under President Jammeh that changed it to ensure that men and women are equal. I can name a lot. In our North Bank, Ba Nyajao, that's what we used to call it, we never had one macadamized road throughout colonial period up to 30 years of PPP rule. Today, we can boast to say that from Bara to Kerewan to Farafenye to Lamenkoto up to Pasamas is as a result of President Jammeh and the APRC. And President Jammeh does not come from that area. Rural electrification. Up to today, the second phase of rural electrification is the project of the APRC, funded and started. They are only continuing with it. I can name a lot more. So we have a legacy that cannot be erased by anybody, whether you like it or not. So it is important that we as leaders must honestly accept the verdict of the people if it is in compliance with our laws or the supreme law of the country. I want at this juncture to salute the heroic and gallant National Assembly members who voted down this draft 2020 Constitution. You will be, I will assure you, you will be on the right side of history. Let's recall it. I have just coming, when I was coming here, just saw a letter from the so-called Victim Center. It disturbed me and made me think, where are we going? I want you all, yes. I want to read this and dissect it. Because it looks like the very limited people who call themselves victims believe that they are more powerful than the Gambian population. Very ironical. that the legal verdict of the people cannot be respected. And they want to send letters to the UN and a lot of other institutions, making allegations that cannot be substantiated. They don't know that we are now aware why the UN was involved during the impasse. The illegal machinations of Senegalese diplomats in connivance with misinformation, and some of our own diplomats misinformed the United Nations. But time would prove us right. I want to beg your pardon. Concerns of the Gambian Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations on the rejection of the draft constitution by the National Assembly members. On behalf of all victims of human rights violations perpetrated during the 22 years of the dictatorship of the Yaya Jammeh regime, we wish to express our concern on the rejection of the new draft constitution by members of the National Assembly on the 22nd of September 2020. For your information, the new government of His Excellency Adama Barrow, upon taking over from Yaya Jammeh in 2017, instituted a series of things. All right, I will just pass that. The draft constitution was developed through a 2-year participatory process in consultation with all stakeholders, including the general public. The first draft was shared with all stakeholders, and a final draft was sent to the President for consideration and gazetting, after which the bill was promulgated and sent to Parliament. It was highly envisaged that the draft constitution was going to be passed by the National Assembly and sent to the Independent Electoral Commission for a national referendum for Gambians to decide. Unfortunately, the promulgation bill failed to attain the required 2/3 majority votes in the National Assembly of the Gambia to send it to this state. The supporters of President Barrow at the National Assembly, who did not want the term limit imposed in the draft constitution to apply to his current term and the National Assembly. Assembly members from the APRC party, Jammeh's party, joined hands to block the progressive draft constitution, which was going to usher in the Gambia, into a new democracy. First of all, for it to pass, it's not 2/3, it's 3/4 of the members of the National Assembly. He doesn't know. This draft constitution cannot be passed anywhere, even if it goes for 1,000 referendum. It will not be passed. And I will prove to you why this thing is bad. Why I'm reading this is, you can see how these people, these so-called victims, some of them for their own behaviors, and they have other victims prior to them that they are not concerned with, who believe now that they can take the state, they can hold the state at ransom. They believe nothing. The Constitution provides for National Assembly members to decide for this. They have decided. You are saying that that is not correct. There's no do that. But when the Constitution provided that with less than 50% of the votes you can become leaders, you accepted that. That warranted a change of government. And of course, we all know the misdeeds of the IEC. Under the current constitution, the Gambia legislature must act by a 2/3 majority before changes can be brought against Jammeh. Article 69 provides that a criminal court shall only have jurisdiction to entertain. All right, what he's trying to say here is the current constitution, it becomes difficult to get Jammeh. I told you people, vengeance is at the core of everything and not the interest of these things. This 1997 constitution, they said there were about 50-something amendments, but none of the entrenched clauses were amended because we have never taken this constitution or amendment clause to the people for a referendum. So all what they are saying now is untrue because the people saw it and voted it into power. So what are they saying? So they are now trying to change the constitution, create a new constitution, inbuilt inside it sections that would enable them to go about with their sentiments, emotions, and vengeance. Should Gambians accept that? We have passed that. Leaders must grow. When you lead everybody. We must not be governed by our emotions. He went to court Article 13.1 to immunize members of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council. Anywhere in the world, when there is a military takeover, the Constitution is suspended. They rule by decrees. At the end of the transition, anywhere, there are consequential clauses that ensure that their actions at that time are protected. And more so, these people, they were 5. One has passed away. Sana Sabali and Edward were here. They testified and went in their own presence. They were healed. The only remaining ones is Yaya Jammeh and Yankuba Toure. So they are creating this for who? And we have seen Yankuba Toure, unfortunately, because of the ill will of former Attorney General Batambedu. This young man is languishing at mile 2. When those who confessed to murder are roaming our streets or are gone away. He talked about the APRC supporting the draft constitution in collaboration with others. We have been consistent throughout these difficult times. Journalists, I will tell you this. You find us one thing. We have ever been under tenuous conditions, very consistent with our principles. We are unlike others, which I will come to. When you journalists asked about the communique from the EU, US Embassy, British High Commission, and German Embassy, urging NAMS to vote for the draft constitution. When you asked opposition leaders, you heard them. You know, they are our partners. They give us, they support us. They do A, B, and C, and D. Is that the issue? Only Gambians have the mandate to decide for Gambians. We believe in bilateralism and multilateralism. We have no objections. And we believe that we must go by agreements or treaties we sign. But these agreements between nations must be based on mutual respect for each other's independence and sovereignty. When there was Brexit, did we ask Britain not to go out, or the EU not to accept it? We dare do that? No. I will say it here, what our position is. I will let you know. So this is the letter. I don't know, I don't want to waste your times on these things. And he talked about wasting of the $116 million. I think I will address that in my dispensation. But this is the victim center. I want to call on Sharif Muhammad Kijera not to be a puppet, that he must put Gambians first before his selfish personal interest. That it is as a result of the wishes of Gambians that he is even able to create a victim center. If Gambians decide otherwise today, it will not exist. We had no victim centers for the malicious things done by the former PPP government. I just go by that. Yeah, as I said, the UDP leader, Lawyer Ousainou Darboe, saw that the 2020 draft constitution being rejected is a wastage of $116 million. Now, do we gauge the wastage on the basis of amount spent or the end product, or the quality of the end product? We spent 100 million or 200 million on a transaction. The money does not matter if the end product is good for people. But how can you say we spent 116 million and the end product is useless? That is complete wastage. And that wastage was caused by them, because they want to capture in the draft constitution their individual interests at the expense of the vast majority of Gambians. So telling us it's a wastage, we would rather waste 116 million than have a haphazard document that does not go to address the aspirations of the Gambian people. And I remember when this thing was tabled in Parliament, Khalifa and some others said it is better for us to look at the 1997 Constitution, do the amendments. Whatever we want to add, we add. Whatever we want to remove, we remove. The 1997 Constitution is not all a foolish one. I just want to just read one portion of it. That's of course, Chapter 1, Section 1. Section 1(2). The sovereignty of the Gambia. This is the 1997 Constitution. The sovereignty of the Gambia resides in the people of the Gambia, from whom all organs of government derive their authority, and in whose name and for whose welfare and prosperity the power of government are to be exercised in accordance with this Constitution. This alone is only anything that would happen would only mean that you need to strengthen your institutions. But the relevant constitutional provisions are there for us to operate a system of governance that we all desire. This and many more are in the 1997 Constitution. We remember that when they came to power, the first two things they did was to amend the 1997 Constitution. One dealing with age. You remember? Age. Because the vice president was selected contrary to the Constitution, which is impeachable. He could have been impeached for that. It took us months and months and months for them to amend the Constitution and bring him in. We all witnessed it. Very little outcry from even the media houses. If that were President Jammeh's government, we will not listen. There will be a lot of drummings, you know. We also saw the amendment of, was it Section 91? Where when you are sent out, you are expelled by a political party, you lose your seat. I will make comparison to some provisions in the draft constitution that you will see that these people are full of contradictions. They are taking us for granted, so-called intellectuals. I call them so-called intellectuals. We cannot be taken for granted. I will come to address those issues, God willing, inshallah. Now, I said, I just capture something that I want you people to listen to. Let me at this juncture state categorically that the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, APRC, strongly condemns the joint communique by the European delegation, the US Embassy, the British High Commission, and the German Embassy, urging the National Assembly members to vote the draft bill on the revised 2020 draft constitution. This action for us is interference in our domestic affairs. Gambians, and only Gambians, have a say in who governs them as per our laws. We believe in bilateral and multilateralism based on the recognition of each other's independence and sovereignty. While we acknowledge and appreciate their various assistance, that cannot and should not be a warrant to interfere our internal affairs. We let the British and the EU decide upon Brexit, so let them leave us alone and Gambians to decide. When you ask the GMC and the UDP leader, their responses were aware. Should we entrust our responsibility to people who can mortgage our countries because of money? Since independence, we have had assistance from the West. Since independence. Are we better off now with all the so-called aids? No! Africa is the breadbasket of the West. Never believe that whatever they do for us, if it is 1, they are getting 10, minimum. It's their interest they protect. That's why African leaders can never be unified. And that's why the cream of African leaders are mostly eliminated by the mercenaries of United States of America and the West. We've lost good African leaders. They were given a lot of labels. Dance to their tune, do whatever you want. You are a democratic leader. Say no to them, service your people, you are a dictator. When shall we stop as Africans and look at ourselves, especially the new folk coming on board? This will not be our solution. Our solution is for us to tap from others what we think is best, but for us to decide on our own and to collectively forgive each other, map out our strategies, and then unify ourselves for our common good. That alone, and only that, a fragmented Africa. We all know Yahya Jammeh. He's one of the leading Pan-Africanists of our time. We also witnessed arguments by legal minds, including my Fatou and some others, that the 1997 Constitution does not provide for its repeal. No provisions in the 1997 Constitution provides for putting aside this whole Constitution at one go. And that the only thing you can do is to amend whatever you want to change, provision by provision. At the end, you can remove all what you don't want and put in all what you want. That's the type of constitution we have. But why? The Chief Justice then was Batembedu. Lawyer Ousseynou Dabo is a legal practitioner. My Fatou is a legal mind. Why did this escape them? Is it deliberate? Just to misguide us? Then if we go by that dictum, then it means it will be unconstitutional and illegal to table a bill in Parliament for the repeal of this Constitution. If what my and some other legal minds are arguing is true, then it becomes treasonable for anybody to table this for repeal, because it's contrary to the Constitution. The laws that govern us today is the 1997 Constitution. I want to open up so that we all look at it, how mischievous some of these people can be, just to lead us into something that we don't understand. If I looked at the provision, section 226, I seem to agree that there are no legal provisions here. What the drafters of this constitution envisaged was, this is going to stay in part. The fundamentals are going to be there, but people will have a right to put in and remove those that they don't want and add those that they want. It comes to the same thing, basically. If that is so, then we begin to ask why the famous Batambedu brought about this draft Constitutional Review Commission. And if you remember, in Lawyer Dabo's press conference, he ridiculed the current Attorney General and lamented the absence of Batambedu. Let's read in between lines. Batambedu is one of the worst criminals that has thrown us into this predicament and dodged and left. The greatest concern of most of these coalition leaders is that they don't want to see anything jamming. Anything that is related to jamming, good or bad, they don't want it. That's why we suffered. They went all out to make sure that APRC, we are buried alive. I'm telling you, we are not saying we are going back to government, but inshallah we will survive and live. God will protect us. These are some of the things. Now I want to lead you people, because the adage, you have not heard from them, the coalition leaders, why we should support the draft constitution. It's good. Is that what are there that made it good? They will not tell you. They are legal minds. They just want to play with our minds to make us believe that everything in that document is good. I will show you sections that if they had this draft constitution been passed, it will bring constitutional crisis in this country. And I challenge anybody, whoever you are. Now, let's go through why some of the reasons, making reference to the draft constitution, why we think it's not the type for Gambians. If you look at section 115(1), this talks about the appointment of ministers. It says, the president shall nominate and appoint, A, such number of ministers not exceeding 20 to assist with the running of the affairs of state. In a constitution, they decried why the APRC made some amendments. You don't put 20 in a document like this for cabinet portfolios. We can just pass this as a document. Tomorrow there may be need for one additional cabinet position to make it 21. You go out to go and amend the constitution. It cannot happen. What you do is, You put the framework here, and a bill passed by Parliament would state the number. They are people's representatives. And then, if you want to amend, you just go back to Parliament without touching the Constitution. But you put in the Constitution 20. So anytime a president sits and there is need, Gambians agree that we should have one ministerial portfolio for this portfolio, you cannot do it until you go back to the Constitution, you amend it. This is why if we leave this Constitution, we would have made thousands of amendments within 1 year. A lot of clauses, unnecessary clauses, are entrenched. You have to be going to referendum. You entrench fundamental principles that will stand the test of time. So one reason, this simple reason, 20 cabinet ministerial positions. If you want to change it, you must go and amend the Constitution. Section 97. This one I want you people, journalists, to listen very attentively. Very attentively. Because otherwise, this is it can create a possible constitutional crisis that cannot be solved. I will lead you through. It's about procedure of election of president. Listen very attentively. And it tries to establish to ensure that anybody who becomes president, you must have 50 plus 1 of the votes out of 100. Huh? 50% plus 1. So that you cannot become president when you don't have 50% of the supporters of the country. Good. That's the spirit. Look how they framed it. The Independent Boundaries and Electoral Commission shall declare a candidate elected as president if the candidate has received more than half of all the votes validly cast in an election. More than half. You cannot be president without half. More than half. Huh? 2, if on the first election no candidate is elected, the Independent Boundaries and Electoral Commission shall hold a second election within 14 days of the date of declaration of the results of the first election. Meaning, after the first elections, none of the candidates is able to get 50 plus 1. Then the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission must conduct another election, a second round, within 14 days. Huh? We go. It's just 4 clauses. I'll soon finish. 3, very critical here. Listen here very carefully. In the second election, the only candidates that shall be, the only candidates shall be the two candidates who received the highest number of valid votes cast at the election. I will analyze it for you. And then lastly, where at the first election, more than 2 candidates received equally the highest number or second highest number of valid votes, the candidates who received the highest number and second highest number of valid votes shall participate in the second election unless any of them withdraws his or her application. This is the dangerous position. Let me explain it to you. That's why I said you people must listen. Now, it says, for the second round, the 2, Constitution states 2, the first and the second, 2 should go for the second round. 2. The Constitution, they never envisaged that. We are 5 in number. We are 5 candidates, A, B, C, D, E, 5 candidates. Huh? A, I have 35. B, he has 30. C, he has 30. E, he has 3. D, is it D? D, he has 3. And E, he has 2. 30, 35, 30 is how much? 65 plus 30? 95 plus 3? 98. Plus 2, 100. These are the first round. This is our scores. They are saying that me, the highest, and the second highest should go. 2. Now, in this circumstance, whom am I going with? You have not envisaged that it could be 2 people can bracket on a vote. 1. 2, if 2 brackets, it means I am going for the second round with 2 of them. 3. You know, if it is 2, one must get 50. If it is 2, 100, one must get 50. It becomes 3, contradictions come. I will explain. Now, we have gone to the first round. It's Fabakary and these 2, A, B, and C. Now we go and campaign for 14 days, and we go back to elections. Fabakary, who had 35, I now have 33. Dudu, who has 30, I said you have how much? 30. You had 30 before. Now I have 33, you have 32. That's how much? 65. And Alai Sen has 35. Let me change my statistics for you to understand a little bit. I said 36, 35. Instead of 35, it should be 36. I had 36, 30, 30, 96, plus 3, 99, plus 1. Huh? And 2 of us are going, 36. Now the second round, I have 33. Dudu has 32. And Lai has 35. By the second round, it means Lai Sen becomes president with 35. Because that's why it ended. You have denied me president with 36 people.
That is percent.
Yeah, well, 36 people. The percentage represents people. 36%, you denied me. Because I've not got 50. He came with 35, less than mine, and no 50. You said he can be president. And the spirit of the Constitution is that nobody becomes president until you have 50 plus 1. So unless we amend this section, if you remember, when I was majority leader in Parliament, we made an amendment. Before, this clause was in the Constitution. It was brought for amendment. And the Khalifa, I will call his name, and others said we were amending because we are afraid that we will not get 50%. Go to records in Parliament. And when I took the floor, I challenged the Khalifa and asked him, gave him the opportunity for us to debate. It was my right to allow him for us to debate. When I'm talking, he's not talk, but I can allow him for us to debate. And he declined. Because he knew that he was wrong. He was only speaking to the people. It was going to create a constitutional crisis, a problem. And when we looked at this draft, when we looked at it, as a party, we made our observations. People don't want to listen to us. They think we are out, we are not interested in Gambia. This alone should warrant us to put away this draft constitution. This alone. And many more are coming. I hope you follow what I'm saying, journalists. Section 97 will bring crisis until it is expanded. Let them believe that it could be 3, and if it is 3, what happens is the first 2 again will have to go, or there must be a determinant factor to ensure that one has 50 plus 1, and that we don't deny somebody with higher vote before denied presidency, and somebody with lesser votes becomes president. Those are contradictions, even to the common, normal human being. I challenge anybody on the issue. Now we move. There are a lot in this. I just want to pick out some of the reasons that it's not unilateral. Oh, we don't want it because we are part of the 97 Constitution. We don't want it because based on reasons. This other one, I just noted it down so that the journalists will do their research and come out and advise. I said it talks about challenging the validity of elections of president. When you look at section 101, section 101. Yeah, of the draft. I'm only dealing with the draft. Challenging the validity of the, challenging the validity, here it is. I asked the question, after I read this, I said, where is the question? I said, who serves as president when the Supreme Court determines the election to be invalid? Here it says, the validity of election. It said, a registered political party or an independent candidate who had participated in the elections for president may apply to the Supreme Court for any irregularities. B, the Supreme Court shall within 14 days after the filing of such a petition, or if more than one petition has been filed, within 14 days after the date of the last petition filed, hear and determine the petition. Wow. 3, subject to subsection 4, which I'm coming to, the filing of a petition under subsection 1 shall not be a bar for the swearing in of a winner of an election as president. You know, if you look at this, this is as a result of the impasse. The impasse. I'm coming to it. Now, 4, it says, if the Supreme Court determines that the election for president is invalid, the Independent Boundaries and Electoral Commission shall conduct fresh elections for president within 90 days after the determination. Now, here we are. We have voted in Barrow, for instance. He's president. Comes his term ends. Now, election petitions were filed. What they are saying is, if it is Fabakary, APRC that has filed and the Supreme Court, and for instance, Barrow petitioned or other political parties petitioned, and but I was the winner in the elections before they are petitioning. What they are saying is, when it's time, I will be sworn in. Barrow would go out. The petition is determined. And if the petition is determined, and that the elections is irregular, it's not straight, they are cheating, then we must go back to elections. And I am president. I have not won the elections, I have cheated, I am sworn in, 1. 2, the person we put in, who was elected into office, it's just that his term is ended, is denied. Now, during that period, 90 days of transition, who becomes president? Is it me, who has not won the elections? It has been categorically stated that I have not won the elections. It was rigged in my favor. Should I be president? Who now becomes president by this act? Who? See, at the back of their minds, they had Yaya Jammeh and what happened. They don't know that that is history. And that it affects them, it can affect any other person. Imagine somebody who has cheated and is sworn in as president and goes to conduct the elections again, because the elections will be conducted under his leadership. I ask, who becomes president during that period? I'll give you some very interesting things. Here, when we talk about the removal of a president is somebody who is elected by the people. If you are to remove him by impeachment, by parliament, people's representatives, we must be very careful. What I don't understand is, I want, when we are making laws, we try to ensure that we don't have room for connivance, conspiracy. It says, my concern here is, if the president is impeached by parliament, what they do is usually is about half of the people of parliament would write and then do something to impeach the president. And then when it is passed in parliament, it's sent to the Chief Justice, who should appoint judicial committee to look into the allegations. But what they said here, my concern here is, what they said is, where is it? He said the Chief Justice given no specific time frame. He just said without delay. When that thing of impeachment comes to a Chief Justice, and you tell the Chief Justice you are to constitute a tribunal without delay. Without delay may mean 1 day, 1 month, 3 months, 1 year. It can mean anything. Why not specific? So the Chief Justice also is not given room to maneuver in favor of anybody. At least within 1 week or within 2 weeks, at least within 2 weeks, at least within this time, specific time frame. This is what we are saying. Without delay, there could be a lot of connivance. Parliament can be made to be frustrated. If we have a Chief Justice who is in support of a president, the law says without delay, you will be there for long. So, in order to take care of that, we need specifics on that. That the Chief Justice should do it, at least without delay, but within 2 weeks, within 1 month, within 1 week, specific time frame, that he cannot beat. That's our concern. And there, the tribunal's decision, if the tribunal decides otherwise, let's say, for instance, if the tribunal and the constituted by the Chief Justice says, no, the president is not guilty, Parliament cannot do anything. He only goes back to work. Tribunal, a tribunal of 3 people against people represented. And there is no other room for Parliament to petition the Supreme Court. It ends there. Why do we allow individual non-elected representatives who are human beings like us to determine things of great importance? There should be room for Parliament to engage in another thing to make sure that the right thing is done. But it closes it off. And when they say, for instance, that the president is impeached, Parliament cannot just go about it. They will have to go again and vote, debate and vote. And there, two-thirds again must say again, hey, even if it's found wanting. So these are, for me, I don't know what is happening. These are, for me, things that we must look into, especially as we prepare new constitutions for the 21st century. Section 116, 2E. Here, with all due respect, I want to say, I think they want to exonerate our so-called intellectuals from the diaspora. That's my opinion. Who may be criminals in the diaspora, but it does not count against them when they are in the Gambia. But if you are a Gambian who is completely resident here, a small thing can prevent you from having those things. Let me show you. 116 is here, very clear. Section 116, where is it? Is qualification and disqualification of minister. 1162E. 1162E. I will read it for you. A person is not qualified to be appointed a minister if he or she, he says, subject to subsection 3B, has during any period of service in a public office or in the private sector in the Gambia been terminated or dismissed for dishonesty or moral misconduct. In the Gambia, if you have been found dishonestly, only in the Gambia, if you are in Sierra Leone and you have those dishonesties and criminal behaviors, it does not affect you. It is, why Gambia? You talked about the private and public sector. Why limit it to the Gambia? A criminal who has done criminal activity in Senegal is equally a criminal. Why do we exonerate them? Why specific? It only affects Gambians who are resident in Gambia and working in Gambia. Why? If we are to bring in honesty and transparency in what we do, you must at all times behave good. If you go to UK, you are convicted for drug trafficking or for stealing or burglary, it's equally as bad as if you are caught here. Why do we exonerate those people and then the ones who did it here, we punish them?
That's already have the records.
Yes, yes. That's why I said I want to believe that some of them want to exonerate themselves. That's my opinion. I reserve it. Now, this one, section 141 and 144, deals with the National Assembly. You know, one is vacancy in the office of a member of the National Assembly. That's 141. Let's look at it together. I have concerns, 141 and 144. I will make the comparisons for you, 141 and 144. Bear with us. We don't want people to believe that we did what we did just because we want to do it. 141, 1B, 1H and I. 141, 1H and I. H and I, okay. It says, the office of a member of the National Assembly becomes vacant if the member dies, the member renounces his Gambian citizenship, the member is declared to be of unsound mind, the member resigns his or her office, the member accepts appointment in a private position or in a regional district, the National Assembly is dissolved, any circumstances arise that if he or she were distinct, and then H, he said, having been elected as a member of a political party, he or she voluntarily resigns from that political party, joins another political party, or opts to sit as an independent member. They are taking care of the UDP. The UDP candidates who turn independent. Now, my argument here, in the same coalition, when a party, like before, if APRC expels Fabakary, I lose my seat in parliament. Our agreement then was, I campaigned on the ticket of the APRC, on the manifesto and programs of the APRC, and are funded by the APRC. Those are the things I sold to the people, and they voted for me. If I decide not to be in that party, or that party sends me out, they should go for somebody, we should go for an election, so that I can contest on whatever I want to participate, or they can bring somebody with the same programs and different programs, and they vote. Here, the issue here is, what should be noted, however, is that no party has a right to expel a member for doing right. It is only when you go contrary to the laws of the party, which must not be in contravention of the Constitution. Any law that is in contravention is null and void. You cannot, Honorable Sen cannot go and, let's say, talk about his electorates or petition government for what his people told him, and then he is expelled for that, for instance. No, he represents them. So that one can be challenged and that expulsion can be nullified. But if you are denying that, and now you are saying that I have now resigned from APRC, the same way, and decide to join or be an independent, you say I lose my seat. Look at the contradictions for me. When this one is no good, this one is good. Because this one affected them. Remember, the same people who removed that clause, immediately they removed the clause, it came back to haunt them. They now wished that that clause was there, so that they could have expelled these people to lose their seats. And they were struggling to ensure that. You see how God is no longer an old man. You see what happened? So the same situation here. And the other position that I have concern about, he said, having been elected a member of an independent candidate, or those are the two. Now, 144 also talks about recall. I have problems with the recall. I don't foresee, I don't want to be a parliamentarian again, especially elected. I have served more than enough. And I have experiences in parliament. And I want to, let's look at the recall provisions of parliament. In the 1997 constitution, the procedure for recall is to come as an act of parliament. Here, they put it in the constitution. Listen to it very carefully. Recall. And I will ask you my questions. Where is it? Section 144. 3B is my concern. 3B, I will read there. Subject to that, registered voters of a constituency or administrative area of the National Assembly, representing persons of disability, etc., members of the National Assembly, before the expiry of the term. A member of the National Assembly may be recalled on the grounds of gross misconduct, misbehavior, etc., violation of provisions of the Constitution, and a persistent failure to keep his people, to keep his or her constituents informed of decisions taken by the National Assembly. Now, 3 says, the registered members of a single member constituency, an administrative area, or the National Federation representing persons with disabilities, as the case may be, may initiate the recall of their member of the National Assembly by petition in writing. A, setting out grounds relied on. B, I've told you reasons why they can be removed. B is my concern. Signed by not less than 1/3 of the registered voters. 1/3 of the registered voters. And then it's delivered to the speaker. And the member also is informed. And then when the speaker receives this, he shall transmit the petition to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And they will verify where they are registered voters of the area. That the requirements of this section for removal, IEC, will determine it, and they provide a report to the speaker again. And if that happens, if the Independent Boundaries Commission, after considering the petition and the representation of the member of the National Assembly concerned, reports to the Speaker that the case for the recall of a member of the National Assembly has been made, the Speaker shall immediately declare the member's seat vacant and notify the chairperson of the commission of that fact so that there could be elections. Here, we have had it. electorate, one constituency, 1/3 of the electorates, 1/3, come together and sign a petition, give it to the speaker and to their NAM. The speaker gives it to the IEC. The IEC confirms that whether they are members of the constituency, and then the allegations against them, they find out. If the IEC says, yes, these people are ready, these people are right, that member loses his seat immediately. Now, I want to point out a few things. 1/3 of the population can conspire to remove somebody voted by more than half of the population. 1/3. We went into elections. I have 55% of the votes. Some people, 20, 25, 30, they have it. With my 55%, the remaining 45%, they can conspire. They only need 30% and a petition against me. 30%. Less than 1/3. Is that not criminal? To remove an elected representative. 2, there are no judicial investigations informed. IEC, you can be a thorn in the ass of the IEC as a NAM. And then your people just go to them and tell them, oh, this Dudu is that and that and that. They said, oh, he was opposing our this thing and this thing and this thing. They said, yes, Speaker, it is true, and they have fulfilled the conditions. Dudu loses his seat. No room for Dudu to petition the Supreme Court or any other high court for determination. You just lose your seat that way. We are encouraging criminals to usurp our powers. Criminals to usurp it. You can be very effective, very loving. Some senior people with money and influence can just conspire to get you out. That, for me, these are serious concerns for us. I don't know whether you're following my logic. All right. I will not give you all. I have a lot of them.
You've given them enough.
Call of members. All right. I will just look at some other key ones. Establishment of the National Assembly Service. Those are with National Assembly. Okay. Privileges of witnesses. Now, privileges of witnesses, what they are saying is, if a witness, if you are called to the assembly to testify in presence of either at a plenary or a committee, what you say there cannot be used against you in a court of law. For us, it means you can go to the assembly and tell them lies. Because whatever you say there will not be used against you. So you are encouraging people to lie to the assembly. That's what we are saying. Independent institutions, I think this is where we will all scratch our heads. Independent, I just explain this. So-called independent institutions includes the underneath, below the line institution created that most people don't know. That's the Constitutional Implementation Commission. That this draft commission will have a commission that will see its implementation. Just listen to that. And there are 5 other independent, so-called independent institutions. The Ombudsman, the Auditor General, I'm getting old now. Anyway, 5 other independent institutions. It includes this one. My concern is, they are saying that their finance budget, when it comes to Parliament, Parliament cannot reduce it. Even if Parliament cannot, even if whatever it is, they cannot make it lower than the previous budget. Like last year's budget was 10 million. If you bring 12 million or 14 million or whatever, I cannot bring it down less than 10 million of the previous year. Now, if last year, in the budget, you were to buy vehicles, build these things, buy furniture, buy all these things, do all these things. That's a one-off thing that will make your budget big. The following year, you don't need those things. But you are telling Parliament cannot tamper with that budget to make sure it goes below the previous year. Is that sensible? What powers do they have? What job can they do that's more important than people's representatives? And the worst thing under this chapter, I will deal with I have only one, I will finish this one and make my closing remarks. The worst thing is when I went to the consequential and transitional clauses, I found it kept underneath on section 18. I will read it for you. And let's all look at it. It's on section 18. Where is it? Where? Yeah. Alteration. No, it's here. Schedule 1, transitional, 18, section 18. Am I right? Section 18. Now, I have only No, I'm not looking at.
You are looking at the old one. That was 97. Leave it. It's going on now.
I'm sorry.
The new one, draft, please.
Yes. That's why my time was being wasted.
I was looking at the 97.
Transitional and consequential. Yeah. Transitional and consequential. And these transitional and consequential clauses are all entrenched. Remember that. It means you cannot remove it. Parliament cannot remove it until it goes to a referendum. Spend money. Section 18. I have only two more. Just bear with me, and I make my closing remarks. Section 18 talks about Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution. It's entrenched. What is here cannot be altered until you go to a referendum, not by Parliament. But the funniest thing, their powers is comprised of comprised of a chairperson appointed by the National Assembly, 4 other members, at least 2 of whom shall be a female, and then 3, where my concern is most. The chairperson and other members of the commission shall be persons of high discernment who are qualified in public relations. And it says B, at least 2 of whom had served on the Constitutional Review Commission, established by an act of Parliament. You are now telling us for you to be a member of the commission, at least 2. No, but what is it a birthright? Are they the only qualified people? Are they the only qualified lawyers or legal minds? They said at least 2 of them must be there. And they have given themselves. I will read you that provision. The provisions of Part 1 of Chapter 4 shall apply to the Commission to ensure its independence. And nobody can deal with them, nobody can manipulate them, nobody can do that, nobody can do that. It applies to them, and it's entrenched. Look, constitutional implementation, I made references to sections of the Constitution, their own Constitution. The mandate to ensure the implementation of the Constitution lies with the executive. That's why the president swears to defend and protect the Constitution. Who are are you people nominated? You cannot be accountable to anybody. A few unknown people. If you want power, go and present yourself to the people. You cannot go by the back door. The president is elected by the Gambian people. He devolves some of his powers to his cabinet ministers. If he wants, he can take it from you because he's held accountable. How can we stop that and give it to individuals we don't know? This is what is in the Constitution. More than this are all in this Constitution. These are inbuilt. And I'm sure some of you have not seen this. There are a lot of them. I have over 50-something. The last one I want to deal with is the issue of, because I observed that, is the issue of chieftaincy and secretary general. In this Constitution, it says chiefs shall be elected by universal adult sovereign, and alcalos to be nominated, to be appointed. Nowhere in the world do you have people with judicial powers go into elections. Chiefs are they are the citadel of our norms and values, our tradition, the very fabric of our society. And they have judicial powers to exercise. They go to court. They hold court cases. You put a chief into elections, I campaign against the chief, and the chief wins. Tomorrow I am taken to his court. And once elected is for life. He can torture his opponents for life. Look, yes, and they said chiefs do not participate in politics and the alcalis. Fine, then why? And they said the elections will be done on non-partisan. Can you have elections on non-partisan? No. My brothers, you can, if we entertain elections into our traditional chieftaincy and alcaloships, we will lose the very fabric. It will, our norms and values will be diluted. Because you will see in a district, for instance, me, myself, I have some small money. I will just go to Jara Central. I'll be there with the Jarankas. 1 year, 2 years, it is time for chieftaincy. I come out with my money because I'm helping them. I have money. I come out with my money, they vote for me, I become chief of Jara. I know from Yomi, I have no knowledge of their values or norms or customs or traditions. I'm a stranger in the whole area. Look, that is not the purpose of chieftaincy. Chieftaincy is our symbol. And if we are going to leave them with judicial powers, it cannot be elections. It cannot be. And we must recognize the traditional system of inheritance. That's my concern with chieftaincy. Chieftaincy, elections, wow, we will campaign. That alone, we will campaign the whole Gambia. The other one is the Secretary General shall not, in the performance of his or her functions, be subject to the direction or control of any other person, authority, but shall, in the performance of such functions, have due regards to the policy and programs of government. Who is held accountable for the effective implementation of government programs and policies? I think it's the President. Yes. The Secretary General operates under the ambit of the President. Yes. These people have in their minds inculcated how to frustrate President Adama Barrow and what Yaya Jammeh did, not knowing that tomorrow it could be somebody else. A Secretary General that the President cannot even give directives or command as regards government policies and programs. My brothers, these and many reasons are why we believe, I have jumped a lot more. If I will give some of them to Dudu in his programs with some of you. They will be able to enumerate some of those things, because there are a lot of other things within the judicial service where you give justice. If you are a judge or high court, if your salary, you retire with it, and you get all the benefits. You retire with it, and you get all the benefits because you don't want to be corrupted. You don't want to be corrupted. You don't want him to be corrupted. The soldier man who puts the security, who puts his life for our security, he can have small tokens, no problem. The people who generate revenue for us to spend, GRA and their district, they can have stipend. The medical doctor or hospital workers who put their lives at risk by treating patients, no problem with them. You can name them. You can name them. You see, before these things can come into play, the basic fundamentals must be achieved. The average Gambian must be able to have survival average earning. You cannot pay people 1,500, 2,000, and you want to give these people pension scheme of what they retired with in their hundreds of thousands, or what? Is that sensible? Look, because some of them may foresee that they will be judges and they want to go and enjoy it. Not here. So these and many more are embedded in this. But as I said, I will end it up there and then come up to my concluding remarks. This one is this one is a statement to the President of the Republic, President Adama Barrow, that since the advent of COVID-19 and the introduction of regulations meant to prevent the spread of COVID-19 virus, most ordinary Gambians can hardly fulfill their obligations to their families. Those who are renting, they don't have means to pay their rents. There are families the entire family is on rent. And they live on subsistence level. That is, they go to look for money today to be able to to put food on the table tomorrow. When the economy is contracted, people are restricted to go and look for whatever. Imagine what happens to those people. And it has become clear that the millions and billions of dollars that had come in have definitely been mismanaged. The Honorable Minister of Health himself told parliamentarians in their eyes that there is serious mismanagement and corruption in his ministry as regards the management of those funds. Gambians are at crossroads. In the interest of peace and stability, whatever other information he may receive, most ordinary Gambians are in despair. Some of them have almost lost their integrity when they sit with their families. Some have become civilized beggars in the streets. It becomes and behoves the President of the Republic as Commander-in-Chief and head of government to make sure he looks into the issue of most of these ordinary Gambians who can hardly meet the daily needs of their families because of their regulatory frameworks they put in place and the shrunken economy. The other thing I want to talk to President Barrow. President Barrow has sworn on the Quran to defend the independence, sovereignty of the country and the Constitution. But we have witnessed over the recent period very alarming incidences that are very disturbing to Gambians and particularly to us as APRC. You remember, Senegalese security forces entered URR to arrest a Gambian, took him away to Senegal, prosecuted him, and brought back. In the Gambia, we also remember that truckloads of timber were caught by Senegalese troops in the Gambia. The case was taken to court and a court decision given, and the Senegalese forces refused to obey the order of the court in the Gambia. Yes. We are also aware that a Senegalese soldier was apprehended at the Trans-Gambia Bridge with tie. Cannabis. Yes. He was held with the intervention of the Senegalese High Commissioner or Ambassador to the Gambia. The culprit was just handed over the Senegalese authorities for him to be prosecuted in Senegal. We are aware of the rumors about our oil, offshore oil. The Sangomar in Senegal, which is at border with the Gambia. And you know oil is liquid. If you are in a border here, we have oil here, oil here. If you are sucking here, you can suck along mine. That's just natural and common sense. We are made to sign certain treaties that were alleged by people. The transboundary resources. There is a legal framework that allows the two countries to be able to exploit those resources for their mutual benefit. But we are not informed. We don't know government positions. Are these allegations true? They are so quiet on these things, and the evidences are coming out one by one. Whilst we believe that Gambia and Senegal are one people, two countries, our bilateral relations must be based on the mutual respect for the independence and sovereignty of each other. We have observed that the Gambia is gradually moving to be a province of Senegal. In the interest of peace and stability, I call upon His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, to revisit our bilateral agreements with Senegal with a view to ensuring the Gambia's independence, sovereignty, and dignity. This will never, never, ever be compromised by Gambians. Equally, Your Excellency, the current tensions within the Sarahule community in the URR is a cause of concern and must be taken seriously with a view to amicably resolving the matter through dialogue. I strongly advise that representatives of all sides be engaged and, as customary, have dialogue to peacefully resolve the matter. Equally, following COVID-19 regulations, the price of fuel was reduced from about $50 to $40. But our dismay, On the whole, these increases have been coming up from gradually until today it's about $44 again, with no announcements. They were happy to tell Gambians, we have reduced fuel to $40. But they don't inform Gambians as to when fuel prices are increased. I remember during our time, even if we add 30 bottles, we announce it. Now the price of fuel is gone over $44, going back to square one, and we still have COVID-19. People are still suffering. Drivers are suffering. Everything is happening. They are gradually increasing the fuel prices again. I don't know whether His Excellency is aware. The other two things are a request from His Excellency Adama Barrow. In the name of, on humanitarian grounds, and in the name of justice, and with the advent of COVID-19, a deadly virus, I hereby urge President Adama Barrow to release or to grant bail to the following people who are currently at Mile 2 prisons. The NIA 9, who over the past 3 years have undergone trial. And if we remember and recall, former AG Ba Tambedu appointed private lawyers to prosecute the NIA 9 and paid them over $40-something million, including his own senior brother, Sirif Tambedu. In our own presence here. Interestingly and unfortunately, he was caught, Sirif was caught, daylight, when Yankuba's wife, the discussion with Yankuba's wife, Yankuba Baji's wife, he was taped unknowingly, and Panderi lay hands on the tape, and it became viral. The only thing he had to do was to resign. Here, in our own very eyes, Batambedu appointed his own senior brother, the same mother and father, to be paid millions of dollars. Just for the NIA 9, and mainly for, what's the name of that UDP man who died?
Solo
Sunday.
Solo Sunday.
As if Solo Sunday's life matters more than any other life that had passed away. Haruna Jata, up to today, no report, nothing, much more commission of inquiry, much more prosecution. So I call on President Adama Barrow on these grounds, and we know that it's COVID-19. The prisons are so tight and congested that it could spread to these people. If they cannot be released, for instance, let them be granted bail so that they can be going to court and out. That's my appeal. Yankuba Ture, we are all aware, I've just read a section of the Constitution that guarantees Yankuba any person, no authority, no law, no commission can inquire into the activities of the junta by the 1997 Constitution, which is the supreme law of this country as we speak. But at the whims and caprices of Batambedu, again, when those who confessed to murdering people are walking the streets, some gone away, he took an innocent person and they took him to court. A young man with a bright future. I want to appeal that if the case cannot be withdrawn, please let them grant him bail. Yankuba would never run away. enough security for him to live with his family and be going to court. Finally, the convicted so-called WhatsApp group security personnel. We know that had political dimensions. We all know that. So far, they have been convicted. We want to appeal to President Adama Barrow on humanitarian grounds and the fact that these are innocent young people. And with the spread of COVID-19, especially within the ranks of the prisons, we want to appeal that he grants them, he pardons them. Finally, I want to seize this opportunity to thank all of you. We have a lot more to say, but it is taking time. But we are open, as always. We will always avail ourselves to answer questions or to give reasons for our actions. On this note, I want to thank you very much, and I want to hand over the mic to the Deputy Spokesperson, Honorable Dudu Jar. Thank you very much.
It is based on facts. We'll now progress to question and answer session. And again, as the rules go by, before you put a question forward, introduce yourself, your name and which media you represent, and one question at a time. We're here. We'll allow you to ask your questions, and we're here to answer. It's diversify. Ask anything you want. We're here to clarify and to respond to all questions you will pose on us. But one question per media. Introduce yourself, your name, and raise your hand. I will try to identify as much as I am. I'll begin with Mr. Jao. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Mamon Jao, and I work for the Point newspaper. My question is, Mr. Jao have talked about so many sections in the draft constitution. Among them is 115, subsection A, and section 97, and section 101, we talk about, and section 141, among others. But I'm interested to know about what is the stand of the party with regard to two-term limit, because looking at the 1997 constitution, it was there, but I believe it was amended. So is APRC against two-term limit, because we do not deal about it like this? Could you focus on that? Thank you.
I have been in Parliament since the inception of 1997. I cannot remember that we have amended a two-term portion in the Constitution. Never. Let me make that clear. As regards our position, you see, what we don't want is to be dictated. United Kingdom don't have term limit. The British Prime Minister can be there as long as the British people want him. Germany can the same. A lot of others. Spain. So what we are saying, and those people, they have had their building blocks. They have laid the foundation for development. America is the two-term of 4 years. But what they have done is, the foundation is there. It can never break down again. We are yet to lay the foundation. So what we are saying, is if the Gambians decide and say 2 times, we have no objection. We don't want it to be imposed to us. We don't want to hear, because the West are saying that we need to have term limits because it's dictatorial. What I said was, let's try to build strong and independent institutions. It's only through strong and independent institutions that politicians can go and come without interfering with the very foundation and fabric. So our position is the same.
Thank you very
But
much.
two term. It's not the definition for democracy.
Exactly.
If it is so, then Germany, United Kingdom, and
Spain,
all these things are not
Israel,
democratic.
India, the list goes on.
They are not democratic, you know. So let's get those things clear.
Yes, thank you very much for that brief explanation. Yankuba Jallo, I'll come to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jara. My question is on the issue of absolute majority. That you need 50% the room to be the leader of the country. Then you have brought some theories here, giving examples. We understand that there could be confusion. But what is the position of your party with regards to this? Because you are saying the coalition is the minority, and then people don't want to be ruled by a minority. So we need this type of things. So do you think it is important that we have it in the 1997 as an amendment in the electoral laws?
Yes, we have no objection. We see it as important and fine. But it must be done in a way that it does not bring us trouble and crisis. I said it was in the 97 Constitution. We had to remove it when we saw it and then try to map out a strategy. When others were thinking that we were afraid of scoring less than 50%. And throughout the 20 years, we have never scored less than 50. But they, for the first time, they are a minority government. And they never criticized the Constitution. It's the 97 Constitution that made them leaders. They accepted that. But the 1997 Constitution says, without 3/4 of parliamentarians' approval, you cannot get this thing through. They said, no, that's not good. Imagine, the same people. Leaders must be consistent and have principles. They must put the interest of welfare of their people always above all others. But what we see now are people just opposing their interests. They are never consistent. One moment they will say this, another moment they will say this, another moment they will say that, another moment, talking to the same people, the same Gambian people, and yet we listen to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Like I said initially, introduce yourself by name and which media you represent. He is Yankuba Jallo, works with the Foria. I know most of you, but you'll have to do the introduction. And people following online, they're not hearing the questioners, the questions there. We apologize for that. The mics can't be going and coming all the time, so those following online were, immensely apologizing. Yes, can I have that one at the back there?
Yes, I am Amina Sawale from Block.
Okay, sorry, there's another proposal that whoever wants to ask a question can come forward.
You come so that they can hear you.
Yep.
Don't worry, my voice will be heard. You hear me.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
So, as I said, I am Amina Sawale from Block TV Gambia. There was a need for a new constitution because your party subjected the 1997 constitution to numerous amendments. Are you endorsing the drainage of 116 million because continued use of the 1997 constitution favors your party, its political ambition, and its agenda? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that is a gross misstatement. That is a gross misstatement. I would not understand. We are not in government. How would the 1997 constitution will favor us? We prepared it when we were in government. How does it favor us as opposition again? That would be a contradiction, I want to say that. And two, it underwent amendments, yes, except the Quran and the Bible. All documents can be subject to amendments to meet the times, the needs of the time. They acclaimed that we made in 20 years 50 amendments. Huh? 52 amendments, they said, this draft constitution would have gone within 5 years, it go into 1,000 amendments. We are not afraid of the constitution. We are not afraid to have a new draft constitution. All what we are saying is, if we are to do it, it must be backed by law. And the same people told us that there are no provisions here that can repeal this. Preparing a new one is almost the same as what you don't want here, remove it. What you want, you put it there. But it must go by the law. Two, we are against this draft. That aside, we are against this because there are inbuilt provisions meant to favor individuals or institutions at the detriment of the masses of the Gambian people. These are our reasons. There is nothing here that we fear. Nothing. All what we fear is it in the interest of the Gambia? Is it ensuring justice? That's what we fear. That's all what we are interested in. So the 1997 Constitution, they still have, they were to amend it. They started amending it. Those things that they don't want. Within just less than a month of coming into office, 2 months, 3 months, they amended.
Yes, just a follow-up. You said you are not in the government, but you were in the government, and I'm sure you're yearning to still be in government. I quote you from your old statement. You said, I congratulated the National Assembly members who voted down the draft constitution. What does this mean to the Gambian people? It means
the National Assembly members acted in the interest of the Gambian people. With all what I have shown you here, with all the few that I have enumerated here, is that enough? Where if you pass this bill, this constitution, it can create constitutional crisis. Some of the concerns just raised to you, are those not enough? So for us to go through this, it means people's concerns must be captured. And the last thing is, they themselves, is the coalition themselves, they are saying that it becomes illegal. There are no legal instruments here to repeal this. They are saying it, not us. So how do you put it aside?
Very well then, thank you. That is for the public. I'm only here to ask on their behalf. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Suleiman.
I am Suleiman. In 2017, Gambians deemed it necessary to come with a new constitution, that is the draft constitution. It was many believed that the 1997 constitution has so many draconian laws, including the media draconian laws. And the CRC have worked on the draft constitution. It was tabled to the National Assembly, but a certain number of the National Assembly members, that's 23 people, decided to vote against the draft constitution bill. And now, what my question is APRC committed to amend some of the constitution, some sections of the 1990 constitution that are regarded as draconian laws, especially the media laws?
You know, when the media law, I don't know whether the 1997 Constitution does not have much about media. It only had a chapter 4, entrenched the fundamental rights of expression, etc., and has a small bit. It came in a media amendment in an act of parliament. And I was there as a parliamentarian. What you call draconian may not be draconian to me at the time. I will say why. You see, the media fraternity should be the fourth estate. Very effective to ensure oversight over governance, pressure on governance. But it must be professional and not political. We are aware that most media houses were politically manipulated. We know that. In your day-to-day operations, in your questions, and you sometimes ignore fundamental issues that you think probably would hurt the opposition. You do it. So what we are saying is, for a professional media house that can regulate itself effectively and unbiasedly, we salute, we want a very strong press, very strong one. One. Two, we have no objections to anything that people want to include or delete in this constitution. If they, for instance, believe that the media laws, which may be by an act of parliament, if you just put it here, it means any act in contravention to this one is nullified. If the people believe that the media should have A, B, C, D, E, why not we? We will only reject when we see loopholes that will make some media fraternity or people use the media for their political ends. We will not be part of that. So you people should begin to know that you are treating us as government in power. You are challenging us on most other issues. You are even forgetting government. And we are opposition. When we were in government, you were following us everywhere to clear issues. Now that we are in opposition, the media is still following us and forgetting this thing. And we are entertaining it.
Yes, thank you very much, Party Leader. Let me come to this side. I'll come to you, sorry. Yes, next question, please.
My name is Fatou from the Fatou Network. Honorable Commander, my name is from the Fatou Network. Honorable, the 1997 Constitution is not the German APRC Constitution that you rightly mentioned in your speech. It is in fact to believe that the only reason why the APRC MPs voted down the draft was because it was of strategic convenience to their party. If you look at it, the 1997 Constitution gives absolute immunity to Jammeh and the likes of Yankuba Toure. If we are to go by the 1997 Constitution, the Gambia has nothing on Jammeh. And Yankuba Toure will be out of prison as soon as last week. And now that the recommendation of the Jammeh Commission, which investigated the financial dealings of the former president, has gone to the trash, and the TRRC is likely to follow, what is the next step of the APRC to ensure that these things are brought back?
These things are?
Brought back.
Big things, his things, the assets.
Jammeh Commission prosecuting people.
You see, the adage that the 1997 Commission is Jammeh Constitution is only heard from quarters who hate Jammeh, who are anti-Jammeh. But we all know that this went through a process. It was not even drafted by Jammeh. Some of the opposition members were part of those who drafted the 1997 Constitution. It was presented to the electorate for a referendum. With all what is there, there is nothing new that is added here. All what you are speaking of were there at the initial stage when it was going to referendum. So blame the Gambians, not Yaya Jammeh. The Gambians looked at it and said, this is good. And I said here, anywhere in the world for stability, when there is a military takeover, usually there are no laws. Constitution and others are suspended. They move by decrees. And if you leave it open, it will create instability. Because you have suspended the Constitution, you are doing it by decrees, and the Constitution does not provide decrees. So all what you have been doing, whether good or bad, is bad. There must be clauses of indemnity. And you are saying that it will have been thrown out since about last week. No, there was never a time when this Constitution was not in place. Since Yahya Jammeh left here, this is the supreme law of the land. It has not changed. So even the prosecution of Yankuba Toure is against this very Constitution. But we have not heard any of you talk about it. It is contrary, it's the law of the land. Like it is the law of the land. You dislike it is the law of the land. These are fundamentals. And this is what has been guiding government. This is why they are in power. So what is the problem? Why are we looking at them flout the Constitution now and nobody talks? and they will say APRC. And they said it favors us. Because of what? The indemnity clause. Look, I am APRC, yes, but I'm first a Gambian. I have a family in the Gambia. I love my country more than any other thing, subsidiary of the Gambia. I was a parliamentarian. I am no longer a lawmaker. So whatever I must have done, if I think because I was a lawmaker, I would pay the price now. The same thing for any of us. But let's please put aside our political sentiments. You see, I will tell you one thing. Till doomsday, Yaya Jammeh and the APRC will live in the annals of history. I swear to the Holy Quran. I'm not saying this because I'm supportive of it. He has done a lot. For most of you young people, you will not have been where you are now today.
There was no university.
Honestly, I'm telling you, we, the elderly, knew what we underwent for the 30 years of the PPP rule.
Thank you.
You cannot tell us that. We have no objections. Whatever you want, whatever Gambians want, we want. We want anything better. We believe that this constitution is not a Quran. It should be looked into. So those that don't apply now, we change it. Those that we want, we include it. We have no objections. Our objection is it must be legally done. That's all.
Thank you
And
very much.
you said what we are doing to get back our...
About the commissions in place, it's like this constitution, it's not about what are we going to do as a party to make sure people will be held accountable of things that happen in the past.
Yeah, because you see, the commissions were put in place because of, it is not against this constitution to put up a commission of inquiry.
Oh, okay. What is the way forward
For
these commissions?
For this commission, we have already seen the way forward. We have seen that the Ghana Commission was handled by Bensouda, Ghana, who were tax evaders, convicted tax evaders, asked to come back and then look at Ghana's commission. We have seen the complicity of the lead prosecutor, legal mind, this thing, Fatou, Ami Bensouda, involved in the social security issues. He was their lawyer during Yaya Jammeh's time in NAWEC. And all these things, they were part, they were signing, they were doing the deals. And then he cannot resign and come and face the commission. When his legal secretary, when the secretary talked about it, is it Kura? When he talked about it and wrote to the president, he was secretly removed from the place and dumped. We call that a commission of inquiry. When the report came out, people who have been found wanting, some of them were put aside. Warned and then asked, continue.
Be careful, continue.
Others are convicted, others are, even their rights were taken. And for us as a party, they seized our vehicles. It is nowhere in the report where they mention APRC vehicles. We believe if the vehicles were seized, they should be put somewhere until they are verified, and they will say either they are confiscated to state or here are these ones that belong to you. But since those vehicles were taken, they were found nowhere to be found. Some were taken to customers and sold, some were repainted. You cannot find them anywhere. And the commission do not mention it in its report, nor do the government white paper mention it in their report. That is daylight theft, robbery. Why don't you people talk about that? You knew that our vehicles were seized. You had the report. Have you seen it there? Why don't you ask them? But we will be crying over this. Nobody will talk about it. Very few journalists may talk about it because it's APRC. We are aware of that. We are aware of that. So we are doing our best to ensure, I want to make it clear, we are not afraid of commissions, nor are we afraid of the TRRC. We have seen the limits of the TRRC. When you have a coupist against Yaya Jammeh in 2014, come there, being employed, given a red carpet welcome, and he's there employed to come and investigate Yaya Jammeh, you are all queer. A coupist, somebody who took a gun to put him down. Now you are giving him the pen, which is more civilized, more powerful, to put him down. You think people think we are not well? Are there not enough Gambians around who can fill those positions, who are independent-minded, who can establish the truth, who are trustworthy? How many of you talked about those things? The chairman is a cousin brother of UDP leader from the same village. We have seen the operations. How, if you are anti-Yaya Jammeh, you are most welcome, treated fine. If you talk anything good, you are taken to hell. Look, we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best. We are not saying we had a perfect system. No. But our good far outweighs our bad. And the current dispensation, the bad far outweighs its good. The only thing you talk about is there is more freedom to talk. Whether freedom to talk with empty stomach, you will talk. Go and tell that to those people who are struggling for survival.
Thank you, Honorable. Next question. Who has the mic? Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Honorable. Thank you very much, Mr. Honorable. My name is Momo Dujane, a freelance journalist and also a reporter for King FM. The question that I wanted to ask, Yankuba Toure is currently languishing at my field, and we have seen the newly draft constitution that is supposed to usher the Gambia into a third republic. The promulgation will have already been thrown out, and currently the Gambia is being ruled by the 1997 constitution, which have given power Yankuba Toure for him not to testify in any court or not to testify before any court of law. What is the standpoint of APRC in order to appeal to the court for the release of Mr. Yankuba Toure? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. But you see, even before the rejection of this constitution, even before this rejection of this, yeah, even for this, the new constitution, draft constitution, it has not, even before today, we were using the 1997 constitution. At the time Batambedu was making that decision, he was basing it, there was no other law here besides this. They deliberately flouted it. And remember, Yankuba is charged with murder. Murder at a time between 1994 to 1996. And the TRRC, he's passed that line. Batambedu unilaterally charged him for murder of Korosise. Actions that cannot be looked into by any authority in the Gambia. The constitution is being flouted in open by, and all of us are seeing it. It's only a few of the, only the APRC is seeing it. Some of you, your vision is blurred by concepts you have developed over the period. Let me say one thing. We ourselves have, when we met, following change of government, we looked inwardly into the operations of our party. And we have resolved that all the good that we have done, we will continue to build on it and spread it. And all our weaknesses that we have observed, we are trying to put in mechanisms to prevent recurrences. And that's the best of human beings. When you have not yet come into government, you are thinking about sentiments, emotions, and the urge for vengeance.
Good afternoon. I am Aisha Tujalo from Gambian Talents TV. I have been raising my hand before the beginning of this press conference. Yes, my question is it true that APRC struck a deal with President Adam Barrow for your land to vote against the draft constitution promulgation bill for a trade-off or in exchange of Yaya Jammeh's return? A follow-up to that. It's been almost 5 years since Yaya
sorry, wait. We will give you a chance to ask all the 2 questions. Just give me one so that I respond. You come with the other one.
Okay, that's the first one. Can I repeat?
Yeah, you said, is it true?
Is it true that APRC struck a deal with President Adama Barrow for your NAMs to vote against the draft constitution promulgation bill for a trade-off or in exchange of Jammeh's return? That is the first one.
Yeah, let me just stop there. My dear sister, thank you for that question. You know, these are questions, sideline questions put up by our detractors who will say, why this? Because of that speculation. We as a party, we don't hide. I will tell you this. Whatever we do, we will do it openly. We have a right to decide on our issues without influence from anybody. 1. 2, there is no iota of truth that we went into any form of negotiation, dialogue, or talk with President Adama Barrow and his people as regards whatever might have happened in Parliament as a party. We don't. If we do, we will tell you. We have a right to, in politics, you can engage people for your common interest, but it has never happened. And those who tell you, you will not know the source. You will never know the source. It's not true. I challenge anybody who can come out from both sides, from all sides, that we have never, ever talked with any of Barrow or any other person as regards what we do as a party in this regard.
It's been almost 5 years since Yahya Jammeh left the soils of the Gambia, and according to the 1997 Constitution, one has to be in the country for a minimum of 5 years to qualify to contest in the presidential election. Is there any plans for Yahya Jammeh to return before 2021, or is there any plan to replace him as a flag bearer?
Yeah, for Yahya Jammeh to return before 2021, Yahya Jammeh can come even just now. What I'm saying is, accuse him. The government has a right to accuse him with whatever they may accuse him. But the government has no powers and no right to deny a citizen from coming back to his country. Fundamental. So the decision to come back is at his own discretion and will, and of course, all of us. 2, candidate for APRC, even when Yahya Jammeh was here, Yahya Jammeh does not put himself as candidate. APRC is a structured party. What happens is, we go to a Congress, and the Congress decides who should be our flag bearer. If at the time, even if Yahya Jammeh qualifies, and Congress decides otherwise, he will not be our flag bearer. If the Congress decides that he is going to be our flag bearer, who is any other person? Because he's the supreme authority of the party. So this idea of flag bearer, non-flag bearer, for us, it can happen to other parties. For us, we have a process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe your questions are answered. Yes, my sister.
My name is Amutalaida, working with KFM. My question is, what do you think the government could have done better than forming the CRC? Thank you.
Better than?
Forming the CRC.
Better than
forming this.
What could they have done instead?
Yeah. You see, for some of us, we believe that this is a conspiracy. Those things that are put here don't match our Gambian times and needs now. Some of them are done to cater for interests or interest groups. And is too much overwhelmed. Constitution should be a sketch, a framework that gives guidance. Nitty-gritties come in the form of acts of parliament. So the best would be, by their own words, I'm not saying it, they themselves said that no provision exists here to repeal this book. If there are no provisions there, why the need to bring about a new one? if you don't want to waste money or to empower people with money. They themselves are saying it, not we. They said the provisions don't exist. So the only provisions here is to amend it.
Amendment.
What is here? If you want it here, just remove its lights from here and put this in there, and it's okay. Why do we spend 116 million and they are telling us because this is rejected, it's wasted? It is wasted by them. The end product is so useless, so bad, that they wasted our money. You cannot say that. If we want to make this road, we spent $1 billion to make the road from here to there. Only after the 1 or 2 transports passed on the road, we said we have spent a lot of money, and the road started shaking and started getting bad. Is that not wastage? The people who have done the job have done a very bad job, and they have wasted our money. The same thing here. But if you spend 1 billion, and the road lasted, and it's good, and people are happy with it, that's not wastage. So it's the end product. The end product is bad, and therefore it is wasted.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Yes, Yakuba.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Gambians want electoral reform. That electoral reforms that are existing now are not favorable to the people. You said amendments will be done to meet the test of time. So is your party committed to electoral reform? And also, what type of laws do you want as part of the electoral reform? Because you understand that there's a bill, a proposal by IEC, maybe you have seen it. So what type of electoral laws do you envisage? Because you want electoral reforms. Thank you very much.
I don't know how you've gone a national survey to know that people want electoral reform. How do you come to justify that people want? Did you ever talk to me? Or any of these people? Or my people in Alberta? People want. You speak on behalf of people without consulting them. Yes, we are aware of the need for this thing for electoral reforms. We are not opposing it. Reforms to better ensure transparency in elections, excellent. Some of what we oppose, we will let you know. In the Elections Act, you can get a voter's card either with a birth certificate, a passport, Alcalo's attestation, Alcalo or Cefo's attestation. This is what you produce to be able to get a voter's card. The IEC, I will start from when I was in Parliament as Majority Leader. They wanted us to remove the Cefo and Alcalo's attestation, so it can only be a birth certificate or an ID card. Or passport. That's what they wanted. Because they said they were being pressurized from outside that the Alcali or Cefo's this thing, they can be bribed, or sometimes they give it to wrong people. This is an insult. It's an insult. If a young boy whose citizenship, in fact, is not ascertained, can go to the immigration department and sit down, or at health, and prepare a birth certificate from somebody and is trusted, Alikali and chiefs, who are custodians of our norms and values, where you were born, they know you, you know them. Their testimony cannot be relied on, because you see them as local, ordinary people. And you are saying that they can be bribed. The passport scandal, Alkalis bribed those people. Were those Alkalis? Look, let's respect our institutions. What we said then, in fact, I remember vividly that the then IEC chairman was under pressure from outside. In fact, even cabinet told them that He told me the cabinet said you should change it. They want to satisfy the West. I refused. I told him, and I can say it today. Karayol is still alive. And I think when I was saying it, Bala Dapa Jahumpa was there. That take it back to cabinet for them to amend it and make it law, not in this parliament. We are not going to remove it. Yes, this is what I'm telling you. That is the preso. Me, I respect our alcalis. I respect our shareholders. The alkali of a village can determine whether you were born there or not. They know each other, they were living together, and he's the custodian of all the instruments. If that alkali cannot be trusted, I don't understand how a health worker sitting somewhere who knows not even the Gambia, who is sitting at a table, can say that Fabakari is a citizen and that is true. That's an insult. So what we are saying, up to today, we are insisting, and we will work very hard. We are insisting that, and we will go and say, if they want to remove it, we will tell all our alcalis and chiefs. We are insisting that they must. They are the, even if you want a birth certificate, go to the birth certificate, they will tell you, where is your newspaper or kaito of alkali? What is the source document? Is the source document? How can they know? I am now here, you don't know me, I go to the immigration, I said, I want an ID card. How do you identify me? How? What is the source document? The source document is either your birth certificate, and most people don't have birth certificates at birth. The people must get a testimony to say, even in court, you go and have an affidavit, sworn affidavit. Here we said our Kali's documents are unreliable. An insult, we can give it to small boys, individuals to determine it, and they are right. And the alcalis can be corrupt, savos can be corrupt, but those people are incorruptible. Is that true? Do you believe that yourself? Okay.
Thank you, Honorable. I will take one last
So those are some of the issues, the challenges we have with the election. But any other thing that is good, that will ensure transparency of the elections, we are fine with it.
Okay, one last question. Then we draw the trumpet. Okay.
Actually, I'll just quote what Honorable said, that good leaders must rise up to vengeance and violence. Are you saying that this government is actually acting on vengeance against the APRC, following the Planning Commission and the APRC, was also the latest
Yeah, but you know, if you listen to me, I said it's the coalition that came out with the framework for the coalition strategy in how to operate. The coalition, all of them, they came out with the strategy, put up the commissions, seized our vehicles, did that. They did it, the coalition, all of them. That's what I stated. And I said also that it is now clear that they were then full of emotions and sentiments, and the urge, the desire for vengeance, that they cared for nothing. They don't even want to know whether Gambians eat or don't eat. They were out to put down, to bury the APRC life. This is what I said. It's all of them. It's all of them, but we are now vindicated. The coalition is in disarray. The opposition, UDP, have forgotten us. They are now for Barrow. So we are seeing it play out. But we remain consistent. Even these allegations, you will hear, Fabakari, Rambo, Dudu, Barrow gave them millions. They gave us vehicles. They did A, B, and C. They built a bureau. Say what they say, all this stuff. You see, the irony is, you take others to be like you, which is very bad. Because you can be corrupted, you can do those things, and you believe we also can do it. I will say it in your presence. Before and now, we are not corruptible. It's not possible. Nobody can corrupt us. I challenge anybody. One thing I told you since at the onset, we are an opposition with a difference. Meaning, we believe in discipline, engagement, And we wish good for government to be able to service the needs of the Gambian people. When the time comes for them to go away, they will surely go away. This is what we believe. So if Barrow calls, if Barrow wants to meet Fabakary and we go there and we talk, they said, hey, they can speculate, lies. They can tell lies. They will say all those things. You see, me, I believe that President Adama Barrow is my president. I am not in the same thing with him. He is in NPP, I am APRC, and I will die APRC, inshallah. This is what I know. I can disagree with him, but I respect him for occupying the office of presidency. That seat I respect. It's a Gambian seat. We cannot denigrate it. That's all what we are saying. But it means if you, before, when we were in government, the opposition will never want to talk to us. If we invite them, no. Anything we do, even if it is good, they wish bad, so that people can be disgruntled, so that we can be pulled out. We are different. We want Barrow of success. If he can do it, unfortunately, he does not have the people who can do it. Those that are loyal to him, don't have the capacity. Those that have the capacity are not loyal to him. They are loyal to their pockets. This is what is happening. That's why we are in this misery. As good as his intentions may be, he cannot do it all by himself. That's why I said Barrow must look inwards, and he must try to nip out those that are undermining his authority, so a Gambian can benefit. We, to relate with Barrow or any other party, is our right. If we want, and remember, there are no permanent interests or permanent friends, permanent enemies or permanent friends, but permanent interests. Whatever engagements we do, we will know that we are going to protect our interests and the interests of the Gambia. And whatever they do, they will also want to, when they came in the coalition, they satisfied their interests. That's why it broke down. It was not based on honesty and sincerity to what was told to the Gambians and what is happening today. Khalifa Sallah said, then the thought was only to remove Yahya Jammeh. We are jumping. You are jumping a place where people urinate. Not forgetting that when you jump it, you are going into excreta. So you are saying, no, let's just jump. You jump the urinate where people urinate and you go into the excreta. Just to remove Yahya Jammeh was their problem. No plans as to what next. And no regrets for what has happened. Billahi, wallahi, tallahi. Yahya Jammeh's regime times is by far better for any Gambian than now. Only a limited few. Those who are crying human rights violations, those of them, they are only a small minority. The victim center, the so-called victim center. Solo Sunday, why did Solo Sunday come out? Because of money used politically. People have died, and people have died under this regime. But should we waste our time on reminiscing over the old and not trying to satisfy the aspirations and needs of the Gambian people at all times? This is what happened to the opposition. They spent their lifetime, Yahya Jammeh, APRC, and how to bury them. They had no time for any other thing. All their plans were that. And everybody was showing Barrow Chalo, Barrow Kanjo, Barrow Fonko, mockery upon mockery. Mockery. They cannot influence us to do anything bad. We remained convinced and committed. And today, we are laughing at them because they are disintegrated. They are now a laughing stock. I am saying it. They have unveiled themselves to be tribalists, to be people who want to divide this country based on tribal lines for their own personal interests. And they are not sincere to their words. The same people voted against for the draft constitution again. They remember when they sent out that the chairman of Brikama Area Council. They wanted APRC to vote. They wanted APRC to vote so that if you lose your seat, if you are set out by this thing, you can lose your seat. The same people who removed it, now it haunted them. Immediately they did it, APRC, we are comfortable. They removed it because they thought it was, we are using it. It haunted them. I told you, God today is not an old man, who is a young man. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable.
One more.
We definitely don't want you to go back with your pregnant questions. We want you to deliver them all. But time is the factor here. And I drink coffee, I want it with sugar. And I will not drink coffee without sugar twice. So this will be the last one. Go ahead, my sister.
If there is any chance for APRC to initiate coalition talk with any party, who will it be? I don't mean people that have already reached out to you, but you, the parties that you will be interested to talk about coalition talk. Thank you.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la? Skincare la. 2020 lañ wax de. Waaw. Fii nag mooy Kerr fan, Kerr zero tache. Perfect skin. Skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek. Loo lañ soxlaati rek. Maanaam bu ngeen am problème ci seen skin ngeen xam ngeen fan la fii ngeen di ñëw suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal bel laka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi di waxee rek en cas just in case loolu xew.
Lie of the century. It's the lie of the century. Barrow is not funding us anything as we speak now until probably if he is doing it I don't know. Or the executive, or he's giving it to UDP and others to bring it to and do some other things. Because we are surviving on our own. You see this bureau? Some people are surprised. With the seesaw of our funds, our vehicles and everything, we are able to do this. APRC's strength is this membership. APRC, our strength is our membership. Nobody gives us funds. Our members, these local ordinary people you see, put their hands in their pockets, and some of our supporters in the diaspora to facilitate some of the things we do. Even us as executive, these things, Dudu, you are in charge of this. Ask him whether there is a dalasi or a dime from any other political party or leader or somebody else. No, it's not true. And sooner than later, soon, because we are going to, let me give you this information. As we go into elections, we will soon be buying some motorcycles. Motorcycles and pickups. I know the number one comment is Barola dealer. Billahi, wallahi, tallahi, nallahi, with my color in my hand. Anybody who tells you that somebody is funding us for our bureau or for the vehicles we want to buy now, they are lying. If you remember, we had GoFund APRC. That money we want to utilize to buy vehicles and motorcycles. Probably tomorrow, in the future, there may be negotiation with either somebody or political parties, and they want to do something for us. If it happens, we will say it. But as I speak to you now, anything that we do and we are doing, nobody besides APRC. Take that down and write it with indelible ink and point at me as a liar tomorrow if I'm found wanted. So thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. And once again, we're thanking all media houses and journalists. for accepting our invitation to be with us during this press conference. We definitely hope all the questions you asked have been definitely answered, justifying most of the points and issues we raised. And we want to assure you, anytime you're welcome, open to APRC with question and answers or whatever you have. So on behalf of the entire party, its leadership and supporters, we want to commend you for coming, and we're telling you thank you as usual.
Thank you very much. Which one?
Hey, no, it has been here.
Yeah, I found it here.
Do. No? You are generally. Ma? You are generally. Claude B.
Yes, come. You can come.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la? Skincare la. 2020 lañ wax de. Waaw. Fii nag mooy Kerr fan, Kerr zero tache. Perfect skin. Skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek. Loo lañ soxlaati rek. Maanaam bu ngeen am problème ci seen skin, yéen xam ngeen fan la. Fii ngeen di ñëw. Suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon, xam nga doon xeesal ba laka xum. Éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi di waxee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw Skincare Plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well. Emuñ ci skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw. We do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skincare products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit bentey tamit si ay dàlla man waaye man nag skincare mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner Kiwi Eye the whole range Lighten Up Gold Tomatine I mean the list can just go on and on and on and on lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox Skincare Plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu nga United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes fragrances men's shirts accessories we do dresses as well we do blouses I mean we do shoes name it we do them Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection zero task fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi task kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème yu picca boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii. Love like fire. Bring my love like fire.
No, ini bara. Okay. Welcome. Basically, lot of lala me along is cool, man. That I can really relax. What the madam? Yeah. What the madam? Yeah. Let them do something. That's right. Grand Villa. That's fine. Slowly. Yes. No. Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me alone because they relax. So it's basically I can understand. Nina Fani say what? Nidia, Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Beji andika Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungol bebe senyaring adum na bungol bebe nyarandiring coming ibela fila ila suwe taranyame. Ntel Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wale mukamwati ntel kang. Na ye sabati Grand Villa yela kodo nafa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise. I know. I so much love this place. Thank you. Trust me, I love this place.
You can move somebody and watching what?
Yeah.
And know to Gambia. Grand Villa.
I tell you. I love this place. Okay. I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni lefta na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527-218. Wale futana website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Miss V Designer Outlet is the #1 quality and affordable stop shop for all your needs. Get your evening dresses, suit and ties, office wears for both ladies and gentlemen, beach wears, sport wears, pure leather shoes for men, quality belts, bags, heels for all beautiful ladies, original perfumes, accessories, and a lot more.